going to do it.
What?
Start streaming. There we go. It's starting.
What were you doing?
It's streaming now. It is live. You just view it on page to make sure it's working. And I think we're good. People are going crazy in the chat. Everything's muted. All right. We just did an amazing episode of the tech that will never be seen because there was tons of echo. This is going to be 34% better because I'm drinking a 34% alcohol beer right now. It's not this one. It's a different one. Wendell, take two, shall we? What do you think?
I don't think it's really streaming because I've got it open too as an ordinary pleb and it says 1 minute 37.
I don't believe it. Not for 1 second. I think there's just a massive latency. Massive delay latency. Yep.
Okay.
Just as I thought. There you are. Behind the monitor with your hands. I'm watching the stream right now. All right. Back to business. Yeah. We've got a fun show without a regular intro. You know what? We just recorded this and we just built a new computer. If you guys notice, there's not going to be all that hum. There was that terrible hum before because we had a really nice little Cooler Master mini ITX case, and then we have the Cooler Master, I believe it was the Neptune 280 or something like that, and that thing was loud, so I switched out, and we now have the Cooler Master Silencio 652S, and you can't hear anything. You ready to hear what it sounds like? I'm going to put it over there so you guys can hear it. Yeah, go down there. It's right there on the floor. You guys should be able to hear it. Nothing. That's what you guys are hearing right now. Nothing. So yeah, let's go ahead and crack this open. It's going to be a good episode. I'll look at comments in a minute. We're going to do this much like a non-live episode, but you guys are just special because you're here watching it live, so I probably won't be paying that much of attention to the comments. And
maybe at the end we can have a live inbox if you guys are good.
Yeah, if you're good. I don't think they're going to be good, though. This is YouTube. This is not our website. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what's happening in the world this week. So we're going to be having, well, not we, but in Minneapolis, they're going to get 10 gigabit internet for about $400. So U.S. Internet, that's the company that's doing this. They already have about 30,000 homes that are connected to gigabit, and the gigabit's only $65 a month. So that's already in the Google, territory as far as pricing goes. But here's the crazy thing: they are going to be launching 10 gigabit per month service. And this is at a price that's cheaper than some of the business class services that you get from like Comcast and Time Warner. So unbelievably inexpensive for a service like this. 10 gig. Well, who in the earth is going to need? I mean, no one's really going to need that unless you're like maybe a small business that is trying to take over the world, or maybe you're someone who's trying to send files back and forth from a couple of different businesses. I mean, it's going to be really handy, but my God.
Well, I'm glad to see this kind of segmentation because, gigabit, there probably does need to be segmentation just in the market between business and residential connections because businesses in general are going to use a lot more bandwidth. I mean, you got to think that most businesses are going to have, even a small business will have 5 or 10 people behind a single connection and they're all trying to do stuff. 10 gig is still extreme maximum overkill. I mean, if you get a wired 10 gig Ethernet card, those are still on the order of $300 each. Even if you go eBay, you can maybe get it for a little less, but good quality Intel NIC is around 300 at the low end. 10 gig switches. I've got to get a 10 gig switch for the office. And, the crappiest one I can find is $1,400 for something that would meet our needs. And that's not anything special. That's just, sort of the bottom of the barrel, bottom rung. Yeah. So right now what we're using for a 10 gig switch is basically a desktop computer with a whole bunch of dual port adapters and Linux.
And that's how you do it, right?
Linux makes a pretty good switch. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It works fine. But,
Linux makes a good switch. Make the switch to Linux, or you'll get the switch.
The 10 gig service will be good for apartment buildings and things like that because you could run the 10 gig service and then it's up to the building owner to distribute it to the tenants. And then that way you don't really have a bottleneck. I mean, 10 gig is more than you're going to get even for like cable connections that are shared with the buildings. So that's probably what most of this is aimed at. But, the reality here with fiber, we always talk about, you just swap out the electronics. That's exactly what this company's doing. 10 gig electronics is basically $300 each. It's like, let's just swap the equipment at both ends. 10 gig, done.
Yep, it's not like you're actually changing the infrastructure. You're not laying new lines or anything like that. It's just a new box of knowledge. And we all like boxes of knowledge. This kind of stuff is absolutely destroying what the big ISPs are doing, like, Verizon, Comcast, Time Warner. And I guess that just makes sense because if you look at the yearly, actually it's not yearly, it's a quarterly report that's done by the University of Michigan Ross School of Business. Time Warner was the worst company, or the most hated, I guess, company, and Comcast was the second most hated company in their study this year. And here's what's funny. Time Warner actually scored the lowest score in the history of the test, and Comcast was right there. So it was 56 out of 100 for Time Warner and 57 out of 100 for Comcast. God, people just hate these companies.
Are we really surprised?
Well, we've got companies that make stuff that'll kill you, like, napalm and stuff. Like, it will melt your freaking skin. But people are like, no, you know what? Melting my skin is inconvenient, but dealing with Time Warner and their service department, I think I'd rather have my skin melted. That's pretty much what's happening right there. So
it turns out that these tech support departments are so bad that Comcast is actually scared to death that the wrong senator or the wrong lobbyist is going to have a terrible customer service experience. So Comcast has created a fast lane for tech support. Yes, that's right. You heard me correctly.
Yes.
The tech support it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're an important person. Don't call the 800 number that normal plebeians have to call. We've got this special VIP. We're going to take care of you service. You call that, and we'll get you taken care of. It's like, what?
Well, I mean, what they're essentially doing there is they are cutting out all the people who are important. Oh, God, they're flying away. I hate these things. Why do I always do these things? These things are annoying. When people do this, they are usually annoying. Have you ever those annoying guys that are just like, yeah, I'm a person. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Anyway, I totally forgot what I was talking about. Yeah. These things are flying. They are cutting out all the people who write the news and make the decisions and giving them a totally different experience. So they don't experience what we experience. They don't know our pain. The people in power do not know our pain. The people of the press don't know our pain. We don't have a voice. God, why don't we have a voice? Yeah. I could go on and on about that. Oh, there's nothing there.
Anybody that could give them bad press gets one of these VIP cards and they get the red carpet tech support treatment. I mean, really, if you're a company and your tech support is so bad that you have to set up another tech support organization for important people that could give you a hard time, something has gone horribly wrong with your company.
Don't fix it. Just set up a separate service for the important people. Like, that's perfect.
It's wonderful. Why would you? I mean, at that point, your company needs to be broken up, and you need to be put. It would. I mean, would this have flown in the '80s with AT&T before the whole AT&T breakup? No. We would have showed up at their doorstep with keytars and played them out of there. The '80s, amazing. By the way, we've got Spanx in the studio. Everybody, secret projects coming up with Spanx. Spanx, what's up?
Australia is hot. This place is a lot colder.
We just had him imported. He was expensive. All right, so I put him on the spot anyway. All right, Wendell, have you seen the time?
Uh-oh, is it rent 30 already?
Dun dun dun
dun
dun
dun
dun
dun
dun dun dun. I don't know. I just. We don't have the animation because I'm lazy. And lazy is a virtue if you're a console gamer. Watch the internet. I've found this to be true. That's one of their virtues in their video on why console gaming is better. You can be lazy and still be a console gamer. I'm all over the place. Wow, it must be a tribute to this stuff. Anyway, so North Korea maybe not behind the Sony hacks, but that's not exactly what I'm going to talk about here. We already kind of thought that North Korea wasn't going to be behind these, but let's talk about our predictions and then see how they played out in the real world. So this whole interview movie and the Sony hack and everything, the Sony hack was real. Lots of people had their private information compromised. Sony didn't even tell their employees that, hey, your private sensitive data is floating around somewhere and we don't even know what's going on. They didn't tell anybody any of that stuff. They just left it, there. So there was a huge breach, right? And then Sony comes out and they're like, where the FBI comes out and they're like, hey, Korea did this, right? And then all these movie chains started pulling it from the theater, like, we're not going to show this because Korea is angry and we've always cared about what Korea thinks. It's like all of a sudden it's a big deal. And so the next thing you know, we have this huge marketing thing where it doesn't look like a marketing thing. It's like, oh, we're not going to show you the movie. And guess what that does? As soon as someone tells you, oh, you can't watch this because North Korea, everyone's like, well, I didn't really want to watch it, but now I really want to watch it. Can we get it? How can we get this? Like, no, you can't get it. I'm sorry. We're afraid that we're going to get bombed. And, bombings hurt. Almost as bad as Time Warner tech support. That's how bad they hurt. So the movie kind of went away. And then a few days later, all of a sudden it's available on every major digital download service. There it is on YouTube and Google Play and Yahoo up your butt and whatever else all the different services are. I don't even know what they're called. And I don't really care. But all of a sudden, there they are. And you can buy them. And you can spend your money on them. Except they're region locked, which doesn't make any sense because then we still have the piracy issue because the biggest problem with piracy is distribution. But hey, there they are on all these digital services. And you can go to the theater and watch them. It was there. And guess what people did? Look at all these sheeple dressed up like a mixture of Santa Claus and Uncle Sam. That is the most disgustingly American thing I've ever seen. They are there because America, we're going to go watch this movie because America, yeah, everybody, it's happening. We are supporting the movie because North Korea is a bunch of scumbags. Never been there, but I'm pretty sure. So that's what happened. That's exactly what that guy said. That's a verbatim quote from his interview that he didn't do. Yeah. So I'm all over the place right now, but yeah, go ahead.
This whole thing with the interview was mostly a campaign or mostly a PR stunt because it's a let's face it, it's a mediocre movie. But with all the PR
Looks really
and all
shitty.
the hoopla and all these crazy people coming out, it's like, oh, we will not be told what to do, blah blah blah. Then they can watch it. The coolest thing about this is that they are doing digital distribution, and they basically got that right. They did a whole bunch of platforms. Everything was good. The biggest thing they fumbled on was not doing it globally. So, people in Australia and Europe and Asia and Africa and pretty much everywhere that's not America, even Canadians, our neighbors to the north is no Canadians. So they could not, could not.
Check. I think we're back. Wendell, can you hear me? Blarg. I have to go over here and restart his stream. Well, everybody, that's like the second time that Comcast has cut out on me tonight. I think they know and they're watching. Oh, come on, Wendell. I've got to restart his stream. Come on. Play. No! I think I've lost Wendell, everybody. So, yeah, that's bad. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, God, yes. Yay! All right, you're there.
Okay.
Oh, God, I was so worried. So, yeah, my Comcast is totally crapped out, and I had the red X and everything. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. We're live-ish.
The Hangout died.
Yeah. Oh, the Hangout died? Well, you can't see that, I don't think. Yeah, it's off screen, so you're fine. Why is it over there on that screen? What the hell's happening, Wendell? This is why we don't do things live, Oh, God. Look, there's Wendell with his Viking beard. God, I feel like this is the WAN show or something.
Yay. Yay.
All right, I got 2 audio streams now.
Is it? Okay, now it's fixed forever.
There's so many people who could be watching the WAN show that are watching this shit instead. So, yeah.
We're terrible. I don't understand. See, for me, everything continued as normal. Like, your video stream was not interrupted until the end when you were like, okay, everything's working again. Then you were just gone.
Oh, wow. So anyway, I think we were talking about something about Sony and this whole nonsense of it not being anything other than a marketing stunt. But yeah. So, yeah. The interesting thing, like you said there, we'll continue from this. The interesting thing is digital distribution. And Hollywood has mostly just kind of like shunned the idea of digital distribution. They may actually change the way they think. And you know what? That may actually help piracy because, again, it's a distribution problem. People want it on the platform that they are on. They want it at any time, and they want it the way they want it. That's just the way the things work these days. They've come to expect it. We live in an internet microwave society, and they want things now, and they want them where they want them. So if this can set a good precedent, it may be good. I mean, this is not going to like supplant the whole idea of like, we've got a major $4 million spandex wearing superhero blockbuster movie with lots of explosions and some boobies and some fire and some more machine gunning and some magic and all that kind of stuff. Those are still probably going to be best on the big screen, but the more cerebral type films are probably going to be pretty good if they just release straight to digital. That would be good for me. The types of movies that I generally like to watch are more the indie, like films and the British films where nothing really happens other than people going, what? Oh, who? Oh, you? Oh my God, no, how? That kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. It's entertaining. You can put it on in the background and not get anything done because you're like, what the fuck's happening? Anyway, if those are on digital distribution, I'll watch them.
If I could watch movies like The Imitation Game at home, I would probably invest in a proper television.
Screw it. Just get a projector and have it like, up in the ceiling and have it push a button and have it come down and be like all fancy and everything. That way you have an eyesore. Television is such an eyesore. Anyway,
but
that's
you
an
can get
opinion.
65 inches for like not an insane amount of money now. I mean, it's almost projector land.
What are we talking about? All right, let's see here. Let's move right along. Let's talk about a few more things about this hack. So, the Sony hack has unveiled a few other things that are kind of interesting. This is aside from the interview movie. So, the MPAA, they always go after, different pirate websites. Like, they went after ISO Hunt. And with ISO Hunt, it was like, hey, we're going to shut you guys down and you guys are going to pay $110 million. Like, ISO Hunt has $110 million. Like, really, like they actually have it. But that's what the press release said. It was like, oh my God, Hollywood, look at this. $110 million, headlines, CNN. So that was a big deal. And then there's another service that said Hotfile, and they said that they agreed to pay $80 million. Well, if we look at the Sony hack here, there is actually some talk about this. And apparently the way it works is they go back and forth with Hotfile, and they say, listen, Hotfile, you guys, if you guys pay $4 million and then agree to an $80 million judgment, we'll let you go. So Hotfile's like, okay, and they pay the $4 million, but the press release says $80 million because they agreed to that judgment, and then when the gavel hit, it said $80 million, but the line on the paper says $4 million. We don't see that. We see $80 million. So now we see some of the behind-the-scenes shenanigans that go on to kind of paint a certain picture, the picture that they want us to see. They want us to see this picture where, like, hey, listen, you pirate, you're dead. $80 million, that's enough to have you and your posterity for the next 1,000 years working in a salt mine. That's what's going to happen to you. $4 million is still nothing to sneeze at, but it's certainly not $80 million. So now you guys know when the RIA releases a statement, it's BS. There you go. I don't think there's much else to say about that. I don't know. Anything else? Pretty much time to move on.
That's pretty much it. I mean, it goes to show you that when you're dealing with these people, that a lot of it is about a PR move. It's not about justice. It's not about anything. And I guarantee that $4 million, the artists or whatever that were in the list didn't see a dime of that $4 million. Probably that wasn't even enough to pay the lawyers. So, this is all about lip service. It's not actually about trying to fix a problem or anything. It's about trying to maintain the status quo, which is the problem.
Speaking of lip service, loose lips sink ships. But loose lips can also make you a lot of money, and you can stay anonymous if you use the service called Slur. Now, Slur is a new platform. You like that segue? I worked on that in the shower in front of the mirror for 20 minutes.
It was rather clever. I mean, for us doing it live, it's kind of impressive.
We'll do it live. All right, where are we? Slur. So let me just explain what Slur is. So let's say you have some information, and the information could be worth a lot of money, but if you were to tell anybody, well, you get shot in the head. Slur gives you a platform where you can go and take this information, sell it anonymously, and then collect bitcoins, and then people can buy it anonymously as well. And they bid, and whoever has the most bitcoins in the pot wins the information. Now, this runs on the Tor network, which is already a red flag for me. I'm not going to be using it at all because I don't trust Tor as far as I can sling a freaking piano. But, there it is. Now, the first question in my head was like, okay, so let's say someone goes in there and they're like, dude, I got the best muffin recipe in history. And this is a top secret recipe from some 17 famous chefs got together. And you're like, oh, I kind of want that. And you bid on that and you win it. Well, what if you get it and you make the muffins and they taste like sawdust? And you're like, I can't sell this. I can't reproduce this. This tastes like sawdust. This is awful. Well, there is a system in place for verification of the information. If there's ever a dispute, there are 5 independent parties that will log in, look at the encrypted information, and then figure out what to do. They'll be like, oh, is this legit? Was this what was promised or not? So it seems to be a system that is somewhat sound in the way it works. Now, how and why it's there are a totally separate discussion that we should probably have right now. Let's do it. So this shows up, right? And people are now selling information. The implications. Oh, let's see. Let's go ahead. They actually have a section here. That's weird. It happened while I was scrolling. I said implications, and then I scrolled to it. So I'm not sure if I saw it before it was there or if it was there before I saw it. But anyway, They say that, quote unquote, an unregulated free market for information would redefine the net worth of every person, as their material assets would, in the future, be weighed against the market value of their secrets. So they're going to be selling secrets. I don't know. There's got to be something. Yeah, something deep here going on, but I'm not sure.
Well, okay, so what do we know about Bitcoin marketplaces? Well, Silk Road. There was Silk Road, and there was Silk Road 2, and then now there's like 11 million Silk Roads. And for those
they were
that
selling
have been
drugs,
living
though, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, Silk Road was all about selling drugs, but not just the hardcore illegal drugs like Coke and Smack, and I don't even know what some of the other ones are.
Smack and booger sugar, and what are some other good drugs? What's a good drug in Australia or New Zealand?
Just copious amounts of marijuana.
Marijuana? Oh, they don't have like funny names for things like
Dank.
Dent?
Dank.
Dank? What's that dank?
Marijuana.
Yo, bro, I gotta get me some of that dank. Can I get me some of that dank?
See, I don't.
Yo,
apparently
son, I know my terms. I'm up on my drug terms. Dank.
That's apparently legal in some parts of America.
dank.
But it's also true that you could get prescription drugs on Silk Road, because like I knew a guy who was really sick, and hopefully he gets better, but he was getting his prescription meds on Silk Road because they were coming from Canada, because the American costs were several $1,000s a month, and on Silk Road it was like $200 a month, so it was like, Silk Road. But now that it's like, Silk Road is well known, he's like, probably just gonna move to Canada and
Wow.
be
He's
done
actually
with
moving to Canada just so he can get his meds instead of having to use Silk Road to get them.
Yeah, it's looking that way. It hasn't happened yet, but it's probably coming.
Another distribution problem. Anyway, go ahead.
So this is like Silk Road, but for information. And so they're saying you can upload, like Google has bug bounties. And so like if you find a bug in Chrome or you find a bug in YouTube or whatever, you can submit it to Google. And if it's a serious problem, Google will write you a check for having found that. And so that's a way that security researchers can get paid for some of their research, because security researchers otherwise don't really make a lot of money. And so this thing, one of their advertised features is that these security researchers can sell that exploit on the open market. But the thing that this, write-up is sort of glossing over is just because you sell that on the open market doesn't mean that you couldn't sell it again or that you couldn't do something else with it later. I mean, if it's an exploit, and the company that has the exploit, the exploit is against, like, say, Google, let's say that they buy it for $1 million. How long is it going to be before you get bored and sell that again? I mean, there's no guarantee that you wouldn't, put up an auction the next day or a week later or a month later for that information. And so they talk about leaks and how these companies that leak personal, private information, they might put up, something for sale, and then that company can bid on it, and so they are sort of recapture whatever is lost for them. But I think once it's lost, you can't really recapture it, and so I think that's a problem with this type of market. But in terms of basically being an anonymous eBay for information, yeah, that part of it could work. And will we see sort of nefarious bits of information being used for it? Yeah, probably, but I don't think that it'll be. Sort of central to all those things in terms of like the Silk Road of, dark information. Now, I do see intelligence agencies using this and that's the interesting thing that I don't think anybody's really talked about in the news. So in Germany, maybe not, U.S. spies may have broken into a company in Germany to steal plans for their wind turbines and things like that. And so those were immediately given to an American company, apparently, maybe, allegedly. And the American company filed for American
as many
patents.
ambiguous words as possible.
Yeah, well, we don't actually know.
Possibly.
It wasn't really confirmed, but this American company filed patents in America that are very similar to unreleased designs of a company that was in Europe that they were working on patents, and the patent process over there had not released the information publicly yet, and so that company was getting their stuff together to be able to do it in America. But some American company beat them to the punch, and so there was talk of industrial espionage. And so I see spies using this kind of network, if not this network specifically, to add subterfuge as to where the information came from. So, like, if there are Chinese spies in America that are spying on American infrastructure, then maybe stuff will show up on this network, and it's like, well, it wasn't the Chinese spies, it was a disgruntled person inside the company that's selling secrets to get money, something like that. So plausible deniability. I think that's probably what we'll see the most headlines for in this network, assuming that it gets some traction and takes hold.
All right, you ready to take a word from our sponsor? I think I can do this live even.
Sponsor live.
Yeah.
This is new territory.
Yeah, we're going to do this live. So our sponsor this week is Squarespace, and we've been using Squarespace for our own store, and they've just released Squarespace 7, I guess in the last few months. Now, the whole idea with Squarespace is that they're a platform that really allows you to create, and it's all about your content. Your content's the center focus. There's not a lot of flashy nonsense. And we've actually had a lot of success this year with our platform. This is epicpants.com. And I wanted to use this to show you what they've done with the new interface. So they've moved the design so it's not cluttered. It's over here on the side. And this is actually us. You guys are watching us right now live edit the website. So let's go in here, and I'm going to be like, click edit on this product. It'll come up right here, and I can go in and edit it very simply. By the way, the commerce on this also integrates with ShipStation for easy shipping, and we use that for bulk shipping. And it also integrates with Stripe. And Squarespace, as soon as you guys get Bitcoin, I'll send you a love letter and a bouquet of something. I don't know. Anyway, there we go. Hi, everyone. I'm going to save it. And you guys get to see that live. Yeah. So the other thing that they've done that's new, they've integrated some Google apps. They've got some new mobile apps that are awesome. Getty Images, they've integrated Getty Images. So if you don't have your own creative and you need some like stock images, you can go there and grab those. While that's available, if you have your own, I would definitely, from a, professional stand. Am I professional? I don't know. From like a person who's done it a few times, I would recommend using your own creative because it'll give you your own unique identity. But if you don't have anything, use Getty. All right. The cover pages are cool, but if you just need like a one-page thing, you can just, click there and do it. And they have some new designs, and they've been working with a lot of really interesting people. So as you can see, this guy, I can't remember this guy's name. This is Alex Hanold. Now he's one of the best, free climbers in the world. They worked with him. They work with some indie artists. They work with some, I guess this is a house band or whatever. I don't know much about their music, but they work with them to kind of create online identities, and you can take those templates and start from there and design your own. So that's what we did. We took a template and we really didn't modify it all that much. Designed our own thing, and we got our website. So it's really easy. If you need to get, behind the scenes, you have Get Access. You can really get in there and mess with stuff, mess with everything. So it's not just a website where you go pick a template. So, again, we've had a lot of success with it. And normally I'm not too excited about stuff and doing advertisements about stuff. But when something works out really well for us, I'm happy to tell you guys about it. And I'm happy to work together, with a sponsorship. So thanks to them for sponsoring this video. And if you guys need a website, do check them out. They may be what you need, maybe not. Who knows? Check them out. So that's it. Squarespace. All right, ready to move on and talk about some more serious stuff? You there?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. Let me get rid of Epic Pants. By the way, we got new stuff in the store, guys. That's enough. We've already got sponsored. We can't sponsor ourselves. Let's move on and let's slap Airtel right in the face because they deserve it. Airtel. What is going on with that screen back there? I don't even know.
What?
So. Airtel is a company that provides cellular data services and all that kind of stuff. They're kind of like Verizon and T-Mobile and AT&T and all that stuff. But recently they've decided that they're going to start charging extra for, where's my mouse? They're going to start charging extra for Skype and VoIP. You know why? Conflict of interest, really. I mean, it's like, you guys are using that, but you could be using our phone services. We don't want you using that. That's sneaky. So this is like very, very anti-net neutrality. I'll let you go ahead with this because you probably have more interesting things to say.
Well, I mean, they're looking at the data, and they're saying, "Hey, wait a minute, we're a mobile phone carrier, and we ought to have an interest in controlling voice and blah blah blah." And so they're saying, "Well, if you use Skype or use these applications for your data, we're going to charge you extra," and that's sort of against net neutrality. But this is a small enough company that I think that their internet service providers, their backhaul providers, like they get their connection from somebody, ought to say, all right, we want a cut of that too. We see that you're charging your customers extra for access to Skype, which is an American company. We're going to charge you for access to Skype. How do you like that? That would be
hilarious. That's what they should do. Every company should do that. All right, let's move on. Facebook is in the middle of a class action lawsuit. Google's already been through this, but we kind of know how this is going to end. I'll sum up the lawsuit quickly for you guys. So there's a class action lawsuit because people are angry that Facebook is looking at their messages, their private messages, and they're looking through there and they're like, "Oh my God, look at you! You're telling your significant other that your butt hurts because you have hemorrhoids. We're going to start sending you some advertisements for Preparation H." So they're just looking at all your stuff and harvesting data. and they're getting sued. Now, the maximum payout for this, if the class action lawsuit wins and Facebook is found, guilty and whatever, $10,000 in damages per individual. That's 10,000 times like billions of Facebook users who have used the Facebook messaging or chat application. That is huge. Never going to happen. I don't think it's ever going to happen. This happened with Google, right? Because Google looks at all your stuff. I mean, Google lives in somewhere inside your butt, and they know exactly what you had for dinner. That's just the way it is, guys, and everyone puts up with it, I guess, because it's convenient, because Google's like, oh, you're not having enough kale. You need more kale in your diet. Stop eating so much chicken. That was a slap in the face of Chick-fil-A, but eat more kale. But yeah, that's the way it works. And Google was in trouble for this, and they got off the hook. Well, they're kind of getting off the hook. But now I think Facebook's going to get off the hook as well. You know what I think they're going to say when they go to court? I think it's going to be more of a thing where they're like, human beings are not looking at this data. Yes, we are looking at it, but not we as in people. We as in our system and our artificial intelligence and our servers are all looking at this. Our machines are looking at this, and they're just finding keywords. But human beings never see this data. What do you think, Wendell?
I think that this is exactly how it's going to play out. Because Google already went through at least one lawsuit, but I think there were several motions. And with their ad system works exactly the same way. The ad system looks at your incoming messages. Huh?
Did most of the motions involve bending over?
Well, some people wanted Google to bend over because it was like, oh, it's a rich, easy target. We'll target them. But in the terms of service, it said that they could do that. Not that that makes it right, but the terms of service said they could do that. And it's the same deal with Facebook. And the only thing that's different here is that it's Facebook, and that's really the only difference. So I'm really surprised that a law firm would even take this up. But I really
people love
think
to hate Facebook.
I would be surprised if this turns out different for Facebook than it has for Google, because it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah. All right, let's move on and check out some new technology that's going to be in police cars, possibly in a neighborhood near you. So far, it's in Palo Alto area. I'll go ahead and hit play on this video so you guys can see. Skip forward. Several of the cops in Berkeley now have this new system that has 5 cameras: camera in the front, camera in the back, camera in this way, camera that way, camera somewhere else, and then also a camera facing the prisoner. So, I mean, this does raise questions about like, hey, is this going to mean more surveillance or something, or is this going to mean more of that, or is this going to be a good system to keep police officers, accountable? Could go either way. It could go kind of both ways, but it could go in neither direction. It is interesting that they do have all this information. So go ahead.
I got to thinking about this. Most cruisers have automated plate scanners these days. So like a cruiser, like a police cruiser is just cruising through traffic. There's a camera on there already that's especially, it's not recording all the video, but it's scanning, looking for things that look like license plates. And then it's punching those numbers into a database, and then it's bringing it up on the thing. So it's like, hey, this truck belongs to Bob Smith, and he's got an outstanding warrant. And I don't even know I heard a story about a guy here locally. Like, his brother was wanted on a warrant and he was a fugitive, but he...
You there?
The farm
lost
him.
Yeah, your stream is stuttering. I'm gonna restart it and see what happens.
Okay.
We're live. We're doing it live. Restarting your stream, it's like frozen. Somebody make it stop. And Wendell's gonna be back in a second. There's that spinning orb of doom. All right, you there? Check. Hey, it works. All right, you're back.
Is everything good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. All right, go ahead.
Somebody's denial of servicing Logan's great. It's awesome. Just what I need. Go in there and fix that. Oh yeah, thanks guys.
If you try to denial of service me, I will denial of life you. All right, go ahead.
So, the license plate scanner thing, but this story is really interesting because this truck is registered to this guy's brother who's has an outstanding warrant or whatever, and he's been pulled over about 25 times. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're driving your brother's truck? Oh, yeah. Well, you probably should change the registration. And it's like, wow, is this probable cause now? I mean, 25 times in a couple of months. So, welcome to the future. It's like, yay, citizens. It's like, I'm just going to get a new vehicle. It's fine. It's whatever. I don't even understand. So, I really, it seems like that when the police know that cameras are involved, there's a lot less use of force, especially lethal force. And so maybe that's a good thing.
I don't know.
That's okay. Well,
I
there is
felt
the
like that.
argument.
Go ahead.
Well, there is the argument that like you're in an accident and you don't want that to be on the internet or maybe even recorded.
It's traumatic for your
and so
family.
there's that. Yeah. So I'm
you know
sorry.
what?
Go ahead.
I feel like it's okay. So maybe cops are more gentle when there's like a camera watching them, but every time and at first when this first came out, I was like, oh, this is great. Yeah, we want to hold cops accountable, but like. We've seen these things lately where some guy steals a popsicle, right? And he's running down the street and he's like, oh, I've got a popsicle. Oh my God, I've got a popsicle. And then the cops are like, kill him. Let's get him. Hurry. Guy, he's running with a popsicle. It's worth 45 cents. And we're paid like $700,000 to save the community. This is very important. Kill that guy. And they all go and they tackle him. They curb stomp him. He loses all of his teeth. They take his head. They grind it on the pavement. They take him across the street. They cut his hand off with a lawnmower. They punch him 74 times. They tase him. And then some guy comes up and chokes him to death. And then they're like, whew, that was close. And they get up and they go to court because, oh my God, someone had a video. There was video. Oh my God, you idiots, there was video. They go to court. They sit there in court and everyone looks at it and they're like, I don't know, it seems reasonable. The guy did steal a popsicle after all. And the court is thrown out. Everything's fine. I mean, this is especially true if they're of a different ethnicity. So, yeah, that's how it works. And now I'm not enthusiastic anymore. I feel like these videos are just going to make us all appalled, and then nothing's going to happen because everyone's going to show up, and it's going to be that exact verbatim fiasco that I just set forth. That's what's going to happen every single time. And we should just get used to it and deal with it and go on about our lives and ignore it, right? That's what we should do, right? We're good citizens.
I think it's probably better than not having any video at all.
I agree.
But clearly, even with the video, you can still have a dramatic miscarriage of justice. Would you guys be interested in seeing? We've had a few people hit us up about doing product reviews of dash cams. So we can import dash cams that are really cheap because every other country but America, dash cams are really inexpensive, and it actually makes your insurance lower in other countries. And so it turns out there's a lot of really amazing technology for that. If you'd like to have your own dash camera, that's a thing. If you'd like to have your own dash camera that uploads to the cloud, that's also a thing. So you don't really see them here, but we can import them. Maybe we can put them in Epic Pants because that makes sense.
Yep. All right, let's move on and talk about more fun things like Tesla. So Tesla, I guess they're promising that their new batteries are going to be worth a lot of miles, from 244 miles of range to 400 miles of range, says Elon Musk. And also, they're going to be planning to build very fast battery swapping stations that recharge your battery in about 3 minutes. I really hope this catches on because right now it's only in a few places. And the Tesla, I guess 400 miles is enough to do some things, but until we have the recharging stations everywhere, it's going to be a hassle because you're going to have to go plug it in conventionally, and it's going to take forever to recharge. So, other companies, like I read an article about Porsche today, where Porsche was like, the electric car thing is kind of cool. Some people have been speculating that we're working on one, and that's untrue. And the reason being is because the chicken needs to be there before we can have an egg. Basically, that's what it is. So we're in a chicken and egg period. So are people going to build the technology? Right now, there's oil everywhere, so the chicken's already there for that. We need a chicken.
Don't forget,
we need a chicken
Musk.
for electric cars.
Well, Musk has released the chicken so that it could flourish.
Release the chicken.
Release the kraken, but it's the chicken. Well, it's actually
way more extreme than a kraken.
It was release the patents and intellectual property. So that's why Elon Musk he met with BMW and some other people, and he's like, "Look, patents, we got them. We're gonna let you guys use the technology. You can build your own electric car. Let's build a standard thing." And so it's like electric as a standard fuel, and I think that's really good. Tesla's still way ahead of everybody. Tesla is ahead of Boeing. Think about that. The 787 depends in a huge way on lithium-ion power storage. Yeah, Boeing still doesn't have that right. All those fires you keep reading about on the new Boeing planes, those are all attributable to poor lithium-ion design, blah, blah, blah. Elon Musk was actually asked to come and take a look at it by the Federal Aviation Administration, and he's like, yeah, they got a ways to go. So, 787 Dreamliner.
Before electric cars catch on, or electric anything catches on, they need a tagline, and I've got it. So everybody out there in the electric industry, get ready. The tagline is Boogie Woogie. Someone's going to get that joke. Someone, somewhere. All right, let's go ahead and move on and talk about Google's. Oh no, they're Google's driverless cars. They could create an industry where, well, they could create a hole in the industry. Right now, we have this. I guess industry is the
really
right
an
word
industry.
for it. Well, it kind of almost is. Like the cops that go out there, they give you tickets. They made like $6.2 billion every year. Like, so the cops give you a lot of tickets, and the driverless cars don't get tickets. What the hell are they going to do for revenue? I mean, where's that money? $6.2 billion down the tubes. I mean, are they going to just fire cops left and right? They need cops to beat up minorities. What are they going to do?
It turns out we're not going to need, 500,000 police officers that do nothing but issue speed tickets. So the telling thing here is not going to be the speeding tickets and the driverless cars. How this will play out with driverless cars, we will have an accurate predictor as a result of Colorado, because Colorado has legalized marijuana. And so, the law enforcement wing of dealing with marijuana-related crime, which is a lot of the drug-related crime in Colorado, is no longer needed. And so they're downsizing. They're letting people go. They're doing away with task forces. They're doing away with, perhaps some of the black SWAT vans, one can only hope.
Yeah.
And so how that plays out with department budgets and the militarization of the police force and that kind of thing in Colorado is probably going to be a model of how it plays out all over the United States, not just with drug legalization, but also with driverless cars. Because if everything is driverless tomorrow, then the number of speeding infractions and, that sort of thing is going to go way, way, way down.
Oh, yeah, and then you can drink and ride. That'd be amazing. Drink and ride all day long. Driverless car. Smoke weed in the back seat. Or crack. What's it called?
Dank.
Dank. Get some of that dank, y'all. They say y'all in Australia?
No.
What do they say? Blokes?
Bro, dude.
Bro, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, man, bro. Is this Florida?
I'm not
Australia's
your
the
bro,
Florida of the
dude.
world. This just in. Australia is the Florida of the world. All right, let's move right along and talk about something else. The NSA. Oh, they released a nice little Christmas gift thanks to the UCLA. The UCLA and the NSA at it again. So the UCLA sued the NSA under the Freedom of Information Act. Man, this is hitting me in the teeth. And they forced them to release a ton of information about what they've been doing. So they did. Heavily redacted, but you can see how many times they've, downloaded the wrong information or pursued the wrong person without a warrant or just invaded our privacy without any reason to do so. And what's interesting here is if you read their statement here, it says, except as previously reported to you or the president or otherwise stated in the enclosure, we have no reason to believe that intelligence activities of the National Security Agency were unlawful. I think he might be some kind of British. Why is he working for the NSA? Shouldn't he be working for, what's that, the GPCMRA? Okay.
GCHQ.
Yeah, GCHQ.
But that statement's a lie, and it's provable that it's a lie because some of the Snowden leaks actually talk about it was Clapper. It was a conversation between like Clapper and the president of the United States, which was Bush at the time, and another guy, and they were saying basically, well, the Department of Justice says that we don't really have legal authority to run this program, but if POTUS, president of the U.S., would like you to do it, will you keep doing it? And Clapper was like, yeah, we'll keep doing it. And so that's in some of the stuff that Snowden leaked. So if you combine the stuff that Snowden leaked, which is what they're actually talking about, and the stuff that they're saying in this Freedom of Information NSA stuff, they're still lying. Some of this actually goes back to 2009. Yeah, well, some of this actually goes back to 2009. There was a Freedom of Information request thing in the 2009, and they were like, there's no documents that are really responsive to this. In this, it shows that it's like, well, we've got some stuff that's responsive to this, but we don't want to let it go. And so the stuff that they didn't want to let go in 2009 just came out, showing that what they did in 2009 with the Freedom of Information request was illegal. And so, of course, nothing is going to happen with that. But just thought I'd point that out so that you knew that it was there.
Yep. Speaking of Snowden and the NSA, he recently did an interview a couple of days ago, and it's actually kind of interesting because he talks about more than just his leak, because that's all anybody wants to talk about. Like, hey, you leaked some information, and it's a thing, and it's all that anybody wants to talk about. So he talked about a number of different subjects, including stuff that just personal stuff almost. But they even talked about some things like that shows what TV shows he watched and just general stuff. But they talked about things as far as the future of technology goes. And he thinks that robots and the new wave of robotics that's going to be coming into manufacturing and that sort of thing are going to really destroy a lot of jobs. And usually when some new technology comes out and supplants people or moves them to a different job, there's something else for them to do. But this is going to move people in a way that pretty much gives them no options other than to stop working. It's like, what do we do now? So he thinks that there's going to be a big problem when a lot of people are out of jobs thanks to the new robotics. Does that mean we shouldn't move ahead? Probably not, but I don't know. It's there's a lot more in there. What was your favorite part of this?
Excuse me, you have to look over me. I'm still recovering from the flu or whatever. Because apparently the flu shots this year, they were like, we're going to give you a flu shot, but we're not going to bother to check what strains of flu are out there. So we're going to give you a flu shot for a strain of flu that's not going around this year. So it's like, thanks, guys.
This is from Russia.
Cool. My favorite part of this was when he was talking about, well, there's two parts. The robot part, which actually could be maybe a separate video from us, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. But, there's a lot of really interesting tidbits in here. Like he's talking about Watergate, Nixon. And Nixon was basically impeached over improperly tapping the phone lines in one hotel room versus today where, the NSA and POTUS has been shown to be, sort of illegally wiretapping the entire country. And basically nothing has happened. And so that shows you what a sea change it is between the 70s and now. Snowden seems to allude that a lot of the reason for that is the media and the power of media and the power of media to shape the thoughts of people that are watching stuff. So hopefully you guys are watching us and saying, wait a minute, I'm going to think for myself, because we don't want you to think what we tell you. We want you to go and look and figure stuff out for yourself and actually think about it, because that would be better than actually just parroting what we say, because chances are we're not going to have the same biases as you do. We've got our own biases.
And we're probably right, but it's okay to be wrong. No, I'm joking. It's really, really, really good to go think for yourselves, guys. Seriously. Do not agree with us all the time. In fact, we encourage you guys to jump in and say, hey, you guys were wrong in this point. Just don't do it in a way that a lot of people on YouTube do it, like, hey, you guys are wrong, screw you, I hope you have a cactus in your butt right now. That kind of stuff, That's not productive. It's hey, you're wrong, and here's my science to say why I think that this is the way. Anyway.
The interesting thing about the robots and taking over society and displacement of jobs, he talks a little bit about that in the context of Occupy Wall Street, which I thought was really interesting and kind of insightful. And so the interviewer was like, well, Occupy Wall Street wasn't really all that successful. And he's like, no, it was really successful because the people that were motivated enough to go out and protest learned what it's like for their state to basically suppress them. And so the state and the media and things basically worked against them. And he said that, even though the surveillance operation is going on, that there's not enough of a critical mass. He seemed to be saying this, that there's not enough of a critical mass of people who want to do a change. But in the coming years, with economic pressures and things like that, people are going to be less comfortable in the future than they are today. And they're going to be aware of these things, Occupy Wall Street and Snowden and the mass surveillance is still going to be things that are fresh in their mind. And so how they act in the future under those kinds of socioeconomic pressures mean that they're probably going to be able to bring about effective change in a way that the established regime is not going to be able to combat. And so I think some other, not anything related to the Snowden interview, but that might be an interesting video for us, because when robots displace a lot of the workforce and when software displaces a lot of the workforce, some economists have already been looking at that. And they've been saying, maybe in first world countries, implementing a minimum income is the way to go. And so you guys might have seen a few articles about, well, maybe we should establish a minimum income. And so instead of welfare and that kind of thing, if you make it below a certain amount, the state just pays you, because then there wouldn't be this bureaucracy. Half of the money for welfare and food stamps and things like that goes to the administration of food stamp and welfare and things like that. And so at least in America, because 50% of Americans don't pay income tax because they don't earn enough money. Meanwhile, the very wealthy are, making an astronomical amount of money.
You're telling me if I just make no money, I don't have to pay any income tax? That's great. I'll quit. The tech is over, guys. I'm sorry. No more.
I mean, that's basically what it comes. Well, can you imagine how it would shift society if you were going to get paid regardless? You could do what you wanted. I mean, there are going to be people that are going to be lazy and do nothing, but I think on the whole, most people might actually do something worthwhile. So that might be interesting.
Whew, let's move on and talk about hardware. I think we should do that because this beer is hitting me way too hard, and I think we should get through this before I pass out under the desk. Holy crap! This is 8.4% alcohol. Kodak is back. The Kodak attack. They have a knack to be back.
Nope.
And I can't. I've lost it. So anyway, Kodak is back. They're going to be making mobile devices. Mobile devices, whatever that means. What are mobile devices, Kodak? Like mobile phones?
And then let me read between the lines here for you.
All right,
go ahead. Kodak is proud to announce their brand new line of Android tablets running shitty third-party photo manipulation software. But it's Kodak, and we're going to do it right. It's going to be awesome, Kodak.
Let me tell you something about Kodak right now. So let me read this quote. Kodak is one of the world's most recognizable brands. It is trusted by consumers as a marquee of quality and innovation. Yeah, back in the 40s when you guys were making celluloid film, that was amazing. But right now, you guys are a zombie company, and you are trusted by consumers as a marquee of quality innovation. Okay, well, maybe your quality is pretty good, but innovation, you guys innovated yourself right out of business. So stop saying things like that. Just say like, hey, guys, we screwed up a little bit, and right now we're going to do good things, and it's going to be cool, and this name is
still... We got these new Android tablets.
Yeah. They're pretty much the same as all the other Android tablets, except ours have a different thing. And, yeah, buy it. We made them in China. That's it right there. Nothing else. Let's just move on. Let's move on and talk about resistive RAM. God, I might be too buzzed for this, but okay. I'm going to try and explain what resistive RAM is because this could take over the market where standard RAM is today. So resistive RAM, well, it does exactly what it says. It's resistance. So a regular RAM circuit, it traps the electrons within a cell to store the data. This one just sets up a resistance in a circuit. And what's interesting about this, not only can it be smaller, it can be it requires way less power, but also you don't have to erase the memory on these things. It just doesn't. You don't even have to. Whereas traditional RAM, it takes about 10 milliseconds and it erases the cell or the block of data or whatever. This one, nothing. Now, also, let's go ahead and take a look at this information, which looks this looks almost hard to believe. Okay, so they claim that traditional NAND memory requires 1360 picojoules per cell to program. That's power. And then their resistive RAM only takes 64 picojoules per cell to do the same exact thing. That's crazy. That's really low. So this could be interesting. I mean, it's not going to like take over the RAM market overnight because current standards are already there and there's a lot of companies making stuff like that. But this article makes me feel like it's beyond the fact that they figured this out. No, they figured this out, and they've also figured out how to mass produce it. So I think that's where we are right now. They can get this stuff mass produced, and this may be the next thing after DDR4. Who knows? Maybe. Could be cool. But DDR4 is only in like the crazy stuff like X99, and then graphics cards have DDR5 and all that. But anyway, go ahead, Wendell.
The really interesting thing about this is that they're basically trapping electrons that have nowhere to go, and so it's not exactly flash, but they've sort of positioned this as something to replace flash that's, approximately the same, well, not approximately the same speed, but has speeds approaching that of old school random access memory. And so the particular substrate, the way that it stores electrons, doesn't really suffer from the problems of yore. Resistive RAM is not anything new. It just couldn't stand an insane amount of write cycles in the past. But in this case, we're talking about over 10,000 cycles per cell. And NAND flash is already, 3,500 cycles per cell, maybe not even. The other thing is that I thought was interesting is that they're not immediately positioning this as a direct competitor to NAND. And so that says that the people involved with the R&D probably have significant money invested in NAND flash.
Same people, yeah.
Your typical SSD. But, their first things that they want to target are system on chip plus RAM. And so you guys, it's like, well, system on chip plus RAM, what is that? The example that you probably are all already familiar with is the Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi, that's from Samsung. It's got a Samsung system on chip and, 512 megs of RAM. Now, those aren't on the same silicon. It's two pieces of silicon inside one plastic package or one ceramic package. And that's sort of what they have in mind for the first applications of this technology. So they're saying that down the road, we can replace NAND flash. But out of the gate, we're going to do high-performance video applications. We're going to do system-on-chip applications. We could replace RAM in relatively slow, because the Raspberry Pi is relatively slow, system on chip type applications. And so that to me is a realistic business plan, that these people
Nice
aren't
and
being like,
low-powered,
oh my
yeah.
God, we got the Jesus Holy Grail NAND replacement. It's usually a bad sign. I mean, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And so there may be something to this technology. I especially like that they've done their homework, seem to have done their homework on shrinking this stuff below 20 nanometers. We've got the Toshiba toggle flash, which is like 22 nanometer flash. We're going to have problems shrinking that much past 18 nanometers. And so these guys
the
are
lower
like,
it
oh, we
gets, the
can
more
go.
errors, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really good, and that's going to be important for this type of technology, when we're talking about 10 nanometers and less.
All right, so speaking of system on chip, let's go ahead and take a look at this. There is some speculation that Nintendo, well, of course, they're moving to x86. They made that announcement. They're probably going to be using an AMD APU just like the PS4 and like the Xbox One for their next console. Now, they had to kind of let the cat out of the bag because people are kind of complaining and stockholders are kind of complaining because the Wii U, while it has some cool games and it's a different take on gaming compared to the other consoles, it's not doing as well in the market. So they had to kind of like release some information. AMD has been doing a decent job with the consoles, and they just made an announcement that, hey, we've got a new x86 project that's huge, and we also have a new ARM project that's huge. Put two and two together, and maybe there's a new Nintendo that's going to be using an AMD APU. And I haven't read this entire article. I should probably go back and read it all. But this article stops short of saying that it's a guaranteed thing. But yeah, it looks like the next Nintendo will also feature AMD. AMD's going to be around for a little while, looks like. All right, what else is next on the list? Oh, USB 3.1 next year. Lots and lots and lots of devices will be on the market with USB 3.1. Is it twice the speed? I've forgotten everything already. It's way more, 100 watts of power. A ton of power.
USB 3.1. The big claims to fame are that off the tiny little connector, you can get 100 watts. It supports 5 volts, 12 volts, and 20 volts, I believe. It's up to 10 gigabit. Current USB 3 is 5 gigabit. It's also reversible, so it's like the Apple Lightning whatever, where you can't plug it in upside down.
I've got a theory. There's only every time you plug in USB, you plug it in the wrong way, and I don't think I've ever plugged not once I've ever plugged in USB the right way. It's always the wrong way. I know it only takes a second, and it's nothing really to complain about. This is like first world violin, But you know what? Every time I pick up a USB, I plug it in backwards, and the one time you're about to plug it in, you think, wait a minute. Every time I plug this in, it's backwards, and then you reverse it and you plug it in. That was the one time you were fucking right. In your entire life, that was the one time. And you just plugged it in the wrong way, and then you feel like an idiot. So we
call that the USB superposition.
Yeah. The USB is in no state until you plug it in, and then it is backwards. It's fucking
exactly
quantum physics.
Yep.
Yes. All right, let's move on and talk about Lizard Squad. What did you call the tunnel snakes, right?
Yeah. Every time I see Lizard Squad somewhere, my brain mentally replaces it with tunnel snakes.
Let it be known, Lizard Squad is from here on known as the Tunnel Snakes. So Lizard Squad, they took down the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Live Network for hours on Christmas. Oh, God. Everyone got their new stuff, except people in third world countries who were starving. Everyone got their new stuff, and they were like, I really want to play my video games that cost way too much money, and PC gaming is cheaper, but I really want to play my expensive video games. I can't get on. I can't get on. Oh, no, there's nothing else to do. My life sucks. So that's what was happening, and these guys were just lolling all the way to the nothing because they're not making any money. I don't know what they were doing. Here's what they said. They said, listen, Sony and Microsoft, their networks, this is what one of them sounds like. I'm sorry, this is what they sound like. The tunnel snakes have a funny speech impediment. Listen, Sony and Microsoft have got like terrible security flaws and vulnerabilities, and we're just gonna, make them. We're forcing them to fix it because if we tell them to fix it, they're not gonna fix it. So we're gonna force them to fix it on Christmas. Yeah. Well, I think what really happened is they were like, you know what will be the worst day to take the network down? They took it down that day, and they just sat there and laughed and laughed. One of the guys peed themselves. It was awful. I mean, they're only in a basement, so it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like anybody's ever going to know that he peed himself, but I know you peed yourself.
See, the crazy thing here is that it's like, oh, you need to improve your security, but the type of attacks that these are is like a denial of service. And so if you're not familiar with what a denial of service is, it's basically just a crap flood. A denial of service with like regular mail, like postal mail, would be somebody signs you up for like every mailing list and catalog that there is, to the point that the postal service is bringing you pallets and pallets of mail every day, tons of mail. And, you know, in your normal mail volume, you might get 5 letters. And so now you have to find those 5 letters in 3.7 metric tons of crap. Denial of service is kind of like that. And so the other problem is that in America, we still think, you know, 100 gigabit connection is a lot of bandwidth. But you see South Korea and Japan and a good bit of Europe, except for the United Kingdom. Sorry, Australia, you don't count. And, you know, other parts of Europe, you know, they have gigabit connections or multi-gigabit connections. Hell, Minneapolis, I guess, is the outlier. They've got 10 gig connections now. But you don't need very many of those people with those kind of connections flooding Xbox and flooding the PlayStation Network to bring it down. If you're a corporation and you want to buy that kind of a connection, it's going to cost a lot of money. And most of the time you don't use it. The only real way to respond to a denial of service is to have enough bandwidth and capability available to service that level of traffic. The other thing is what are called amplification attacks. With an amplification attack, if you have 10 megabit of bandwidth, say, with an amplification attack, you can send spoofed packets to other people. Like, so we could, you know, if we're going to go back to the catalog analogy, I can send companies, all kinds of companies, information just on a postcard that's like, oh, I'd like to sign up for your mailing list, send me stuff. And then they're going to send me, you know, 500-page Sears catalogs back. And so even though I've only bought 500 postcards, I've gotten 500-page Sears catalogs back in response to my intended target. And so I have amplified my effort. There are ways to do a denial of service like that, where you send this kind of spoofed traffic to the internet, and then the servers on the internet respond, and all of that traffic is directed to the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Network, and it takes it offline. So denial of service attack is really not a particularly sophisticated attack. You know, script kiddies can do it. Basically, anybody with access to a botnet, you know, if you can convince 100 little old ladies on gigabit connections to install your malware, you've got a pretty powerful botnet in terms of taking out American companies.
All that stuff you just said, I'm going to translate that down into just one sentence. Script kiddies, you're not hackers and you're not leaked. We're hackers. Oh my God, we're hackers. No, you're not hackers. Go do something good.
But that is how a 17-year-old kid can take out the PlayStation Network. I mean,
it's kind of funny.
Let's be real.
Well, you know, guess who saved it? Well, Kim.com is the one who saved it. You know why he saved it? He was talking to the freaking tunnel snakes, and he was like, guys, I really want to play Destiny on my Xbox Live. I really want to play Destiny on my Xbox Live. That's like a Scottish, German, New Zealand. I'll give your entire crew mega lifetime premium vouchers if you let me play. Cool? That's better.
That's actually pretty good.
I can't do it. Anyway, so they went back and forth, and he saved Christmas for the console kids. So yeah, they took the bait. And he gave them lifetime free vouchers to Mega.com just because he wanted to play Destiny that one day, but he saved Christmas for everyone else. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's kind of weird to, it's kind of weird to me to, pay off the terrorists. You're like, nah, just go ahead and shoot the hostages. We're not going to give you any money. I don't care. and by the hostages, I mean the console kids. They're hostages right now in this situation because they all want to play. It's Christmas. Everyone else is in the other room, like, talking about, like, things that matter, and they're like, no, shut up, I don't care. So,
well,
so no family,
apparently the tunnel snakes have turned their interest toward Tor and now control 3,000 exit nodes on Tor, which is about half of the exit nodes on the entire Tor network. So, good luck with Tor.
You know what? The tunnel snakes may be using Tor and Slur together. What if they're controlling 3,000 exit nodes, and then they're going to take all that data that they get from the 3,000 exit nodes and sell it to the highest bidder on Slur? I just gave them a money-making idea, and we already know that these guys can be influenced by money because they could be influenced by a very cheap subscription to Kim.com service. Tunnel snakes, you guys owe me royalties, and don't mess around with me. All right, so let's take a look at this video game thing here. This is Star Citizen. The new trailer called Imagine. Look at that. What font was that? That was starts with an O. Oracle, I think. Yes. I don't know why I even mentioned that. But yeah, this is all in-game footage. Just go watch it. I'm not really going to get into it. The game looks cool. Elite Dangerous is out right now, and the Oculus support looks amazing as well. So there's room for a lot of different space sims. What I do want to talk about, though, is John Romero had an interesting Christmas. Did you get anything for Christmas, Wendell, by the way? Or Xmas, or whatever you call it? I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone, so did you get anything for the holidays?
I got this luxuriant beard. It's
You already had that,
amazing.
didn't you?
Well, I got it a little early.
You got it early? All right. I didn't get anything. It was awesome. I'm so happy that I didn't get anything. If anybody ever... Oh, actually, Tyler bought me some Takstar headphones. Tyler, you sly devil. I told you not to buy me anything, and you bought me Takstar headphones. They sound good. Don't ever do it again. But they sound good, but don't ever do it again. No thanks. But don't ever, never. But seriously, they were really nice. Never. All right. Anyway, let's take a look at the icon of sin here that John Romero got from his for his Christmas. For his Christmas? Yeah, it was his Christmas. So his wife bought this for like $6,000. These guys made this huge replica of the icon of sin, and I think it's really cool because it doesn't show a picture of it here, but his head is on a spike at the end of this. Where is it? Come on, show the head. Do it. Do it. I want to see John Romero's head on a spike. I live for this. Oh, it's not going to show it. Damn it! Well, at the end of the last level in Doom 2, you have to go through a hidden wall, and you have to shoot John Romero's head on a spike, and that's how you win the game. And that's part of this this thing. Anyway, she bought him this replica. It's pretty awesome. And that's a hell of a Christmas gift. He looks so happy. John Romero. Next time we do a Highlander, dude, you're coming with us. I don't care if I have to drag you by your toenails. You're coming with us.
It is a really epic sculpture.
Yeah, it is really nice. Well done. The brains there. Oh, yes. God. All right. I think that's pretty much it. That's the end of the show, I think. Yeah. I think so.
This is the end of the show that we will save and make live later. But now we can do it live in the comments or whatever.
We're watching ourselves live. This is so meta. There it is. Yes, we're watching ourselves. Oh, wow. That's weird. I don't know why I'm doing. Let's play it down here, too. Public view, private view. Yes, we're watching ourselves live, watching ourselves live. Oh, my God. This is so meta. All right, I think we're done. I want to say thanks to the tech support members right before we leave. I'll go over to the website to show you guys how to do that. So tech support is our system where you guys can help support us to keep us making videos. We'd like to make better videos. We've got Josh over here. He's expensive. We had to import him.
What's up?
We had to import Josh all the way from New Zealand. So he's going to be helping us out with some of the editing. We really needed that. It was a lot of stress. And Albert's been helping out with a lot of the vendor relations. That was a lot of stress. So removing the stress will allow us to make better videos. And the only way that we can do that, the main way we do that, because we don't take a lot of ridiculous sponsorships. I mean, Squarespace was one, but we use Squarespace, and that really helps. But we do take sponsorships from here and there, but not nearly at the rate that others do. Anyway, you guys can go click on tech support and buy us a beer or buy us a coffee. And we'll thank you very much for doing so. Other than that, here's some other ways you guys can support us. They're all on the tech supports page. I'm not going to beat you over the head with it, because the main thing is, even if you have $0 in the bank account, we want you guys to come and learn and share information and help, everyone in the community. This is not really about us. We're just here as a place where you guys can all kind of land and hang out and do your thing. I'm not looking to get rich, and Wendell certainly, we're not going to get rich on YouTube anyway, but if we can continue this, we can grow a community of a like mind, and we can actually do some things that are bigger than just these little YouTube videos or just our website. We can actually do some things that have a positive impact in the world. Does that make everybody feel good? It better, because it was bullshit. No, I'm joking. It was real.
It is
But
really,
seriously.
the tech support stuff really is appreciated. And somebody sent us some money for a SteamOS video. And so we totally did it. And that's coming up next, I think.
Yeah, that's actually already on YouTube. I just haven't clicked to make it live yet, because it was going to go live yesterday, and I forgot. I don't know.
So for those of you that don't know, 20% of the Steam catalog is now available and works on Linux, and it works well. We sort of revisited SteamOS. The first time we looked at SteamOS, it was like, this isn't really that great. But now you can install it. Installing it is kind of a pain in the ass if you do SteamOS, but don't be afraid to install
not
it on
really.
your distro of choice, because that also works.
That depends. If you're using a Debian-based distro, it is like now almost one click. I just installed it on Linux Mint. It was like, oh, there it is. Click to install the thing. Done. Okay.
Yes.
Other than that, it's you may have, if you're on Fedora or something, it's not that difficult. You need to learn how to do these things. I mean, members of our community, you guys are smart. We know you guys are cool. You should learn these things. So install Fedora, play around with it. If you really need, like some help, install Oracle VirtualBox first. Install it inside your, your VM, and then go do it for real. But guys, it's awesome. Anyway, that's it. That's it. I'm done. I don't think I want to talk anymore. Do you want to talk anymore? I'm done.
I don't know. Do you want to keep doing stuff on thing? Because we still got 1,400 people watching, and it's like, oh, we could kill a half hour maybe.
We probably could. I mean, if we do, I need to go and run to the bathroom because this stuff has hit me in the ear. We can talk
Okay, that's
for a few
fine.
minutes. Do you feel like
yeah,
you want? I'll let you talk, and then
that
yeah.
works. It'll be Q&A hour or Q&A 5 minutes forever.
Let's see what they say. Do you guys want some Q&A? I mean, I want to go play some video games too. Do you guys want Q&A right here? Come on, guys. Huh? What do you say?
Now we wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, we wait 5 minutes for the freaking YouTube thing.
Someone said Linus wrecked tips, which is
wow. That's silly. Wrecked? What does that even mean these days?
We will laugh. I don't know. It's what the kids are all saying.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream. Thanks everybody else for watching. Everybody in general, not everybody else. Thanks for watching, and we may be back in a couple minutes with Inbox. Maybe not. I don't know. See how we feel.
Oh, it looks... Yeah, well, no, we're getting all kinds of people that are like, oh my God, no, keep going.
All right, we'll be back in a minute. See you guys in a minute.